Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'd like to ask everyone to take your seat. And there you go. Look at that. What a beautiful group of people. Isn't this exciting? I am so excited. Who am I? That matters probably. My name is Laura Moss, and I am the Associate Dean of Students for the Faculty of Arts. I'm also a professor of English right here in the faculty. It is with incredible honor that I am here with you today to celebrate the official opening of the Arts Student Center. So I want to begin, as we should, by acknowledging that we are on the unceded ancestral territory of the Musqueam people, the Hinkaminam-speaking Musqueam people. I am grateful to be here on this land to mark this important day. It's been a day that's been a very long time in coming. We're sitting here in the culmination of years of work by students and their advocacy, by the administration, by infrastructure teams, by architects, by the laborers, by everyone in the community, by the Dean's office, by everyone who has come together with a vision to make this space happen. And here we are. It's wonderful. I am hopeful that in years to come, this building becomes the center of art student community. I really think that we can have a thriving, exciting, fun, intellectually engaged, stimulating world in these walls, as well as outside the walls, which we already have. So, without further ado, I would like to invite to the stage UBC President and Vice-Chancellor Santa Ono to say a few words. Welcome, Santa.
Thank you very much, Laura. It's really wonderful to see all of you today. This is a glorious day for UBC and the Faculty of Arts. It's really an honor to be here in your midst to really mark this important occasion in the history of the Faculty of the Arts. You know, it's the people of UBC that make it great, the faculty and the staff and the students. And these spaces are incredibly important places so that every member of the community feels a home in a very large institution. UBC is very large. In these spaces, for example, the spaces at the Nest, which is absolutely beautiful, but also the dedicated spaces for students in the different faculties, for example, science and applied science, I can tell you from talking to the students, is incredibly important so that people feel part of a community within a very large institution. This is a stunning building. The folks in campus community planning know that I often talk about inspiring architecture, and we have tons of it. Look at the Aquatic Center. But this is a shining example of how architecture can really help form, inspire all of those who make this institution great, whether you're a faculty member, a staff member, or student. Really the impact of form, architecture, space is something that cannot be, in my view, overestimated. This is a much needed home. I've talked about the Nest. It's a beautiful space built by students, designed by students in collaboration with the administration and designers. But this is a space that was much needed in the Faculty of Arts. And many of you here were instrumental, and many before you were instrumental in making this dream become a reality. And it's in a stunning location, right next to what's going to be Brock Commons 2 to be exact, with new space for the Faculty of Arts. And that too is much needed. You know, one of the great things about UBC, which is a little bit different from most institutions, research-run universities, is that many of these institutions are actually decreasing the size of the Faculty of Arts. And Gage knows this, but I firmly believe that the arts and social sciences, the fine and performing arts, are at the core and the soul of what a university ought to be. And it's for that reason that it's fantastic that the Faculty of Arts at UBC is really an outlier in that it's growing. And with that growth, we need more space. There have been funny conversations about how we're going to find more space for the new faculty members and students that are being recruited to this institution. Extraordinary scholars that will inspire students, now in inspiring spaces. Now, as has been mentioned by Laura, this has been a long time coming. My understanding is that the current space in Buchanan D, I think it's called Meekison Lounge, is beautiful. But it became available and was renovated in 2003. And with the growth in the size of the Faculty of Arts, it's inadequate. So this space has been needed since then, since even 2010, since even before Gage was recruited to UBC. That's how long this has been under discussion. And I want to thank the Faculty of Arts, especially the students, especially those who came before you, for your patience for this long journey. It was first approved in 2012, following a student referendum in 2013. And there was a first site that was approved. And the Dean of the Arts supported the funding of that in 2017. Now in 2019, after a change in the site, the final site was approved in June of 2019, but we couldn't begin construction until 2020. This thing called the COVID-19 pandemic got in the way. So thank you for your patience in this becoming a reality. Now, in looking at the space, I haven't actually seen all this space, but I think the acoustics here are probably pretty good. You probably don't even need this microphone. And you have an amazing part of the Faculty of Arts that I have an affinity to. You probably know that. And I asked the question, is there a piano here? And the answer was no. So nobody knows this, but I'm going to be gifting a grand piano to this space. And so maybe Gage, you can play the piano when it comes into this space, but music is a big part of the Faculty of Arts. Not only in the School of Music, but it's integrated throughout the fabric of what it means to be a Faculty of Arts. Musicology, ethnomusicology, Gage knows something about that. There really is an intersection between different parts of the Faculty of Arts. And there's nothing that I think that knits people together more than the power of music. So I look forward to being here when Gage tickles the ivory keys, hopefully, but many other people as well. The Faculty of Arts, the faculty, the staff, the students, the alumni of this institution, as you can see there, decolonize the chain. You can see that we should be proud of the human capital, of the impact of all the scholarship that's occurring, and will continue at this great institution. There are many people to thank, so many that I have them written in front of me, and I probably will forget somebody. But Chelsea, thank you, for your dedication, your patience, but also what you represent. All of your predecessors who really worked hard to make this a reality. Let's hear it for the AUS. If you're here, could you please stand? Chelsea, let's stand. Let's everybody knows who Chelsea. Chelsea, thank you. Yash Gurnani, who was a key student rep for many years. Yash, thank you for your patience. I know that we've interacted about this, and I really appreciate your understanding and your patience. Thanks, Yash. AUS designer Michael Kingsmills. Michael here? Yeah. Somebody who we would not be able to do any of this, who comes to many exec meetings and explains the intricacies of why it's difficult to build beautiful structures such as this. Jennifer Sanguinetti. another indispensable person who has really been critical towards thinking about the extraordinary amount of construction. What is it about UBC always under construction? Michael White. Oh, where's Michael? Oh, I thought I saw him. John Metras too. Gerald Vanderwood. Gerald? Ann Polzer, Facilities, Planning, Infrastructure. Of course, Dean of Arts, Gage Averill, who has had a transformational impact on the Faculty of Arts during his tenure here. Gage. Laura Moss, your MC, who also presided over an amazing Congress. Organized that, Laura Moss, Associate Dean. And thanks to Director of Ceremonies, Liz King. Where's Liz? Liz King. And the ceremonies team. Please stand up, the ceremonies team, for everything you've done. If I've forgotten anyone, I apologize. This is a very happy day for UBC and the Faculty of Arts. And with that, I would like to introduce to the podium your Dean of the Faculty of Arts, Gage Averill. Gage?
Well, folks, it's so nice to be here. Looking around at this building, beautiful circle. I love that there's still a touch of construction underway because it gives us a feeling of being in process. There's so much to say about this and about the enormous effort across the campus that's gone into making this a reality. But I just want to first say that Chancellor Point, it's such an honor to have you here today as our leader, campus leader. And President Ono, thank you so much for your words, and thank you for thanking the number of people that you just thanked here. But I want to thank you also. You just got a taste of how much he supports, and not just in front of arts audiences, how much he supports the arts, the humanities, social science, and the creative performing arts. He shows that commitment all the time. He talks to the world about this. He does it better than I do. And it's there are very few university presidents who have that kind of insight into what we do and that kind of concern for what we do. And you've been a supporter of this project. And I have to say, you mentioned art support, but the university support under your leadership to this was crucial. So thank you, Santa. But got to talk about our students. When the AMS executive first came to see us, back in 2011, I think, to stress that as the largest group of students on campus, they had a relatively meager amount of space allocation. And it was a lovely facility, but it wasn't properly configured for the things they wanted to do. It was a multi-use space and fairly small and cramped. And I wish I could say that at that moment, I truly believed this would happen. But I think I wanted it to happen. I wanted to support our students, but I think it was also seemed maybe a little bit of a pipe dream. But then they put it on the line, and they went to a referendum. And students started supporting this space with money back in 2012 for a space that wouldn't be built till a decade later. Reminds me of there's an African proverb that I love that is, the future is in good hands when people plant trees under whose shade they will not sit. Right? And that's the kind of commitment. You give up something for future students at this university. And that's what really put this project online. So thank you. And again, I'm just going to say to our generations of student leaders, a few of whom are represented here, it is their work and then the sacrifice of those generations of art students who made this happen. Everything else is a bit of cream on the top. But it was such a vision that you had, and as President Ono stressed, patience. So I just want to express my humility in the face of that, and my deep gratitude for the stewardship that you've shown all these years to our art students at the AUS, but all of us students. And, you know, I went before the executive a number of years ago, and when there were concerns about the amount of utilization of the former space, and I spoke about an experience I had at a previous university where we looked at a library space. It was a terrible library space. It wasn't very heavily utilized. And we thought about building a new one, and we built something much, much larger, and people were criticizing it because the space utilization figures didn't support it. We built that library, and the fire department had to close it down on the first day because students loved it. Anyone who's been in this building in the past couple months will see it packed with students downstairs. The proof is in the pudding, as my mom would always say, and you guys have shown that this was an idea whose time has come. The students are camping out and showing that it is a useful and wonderful building for them. I think it will have that kind of effect on a galvanizing effect on our students for generations to come, and so pleased to have been a part of this, and thankful to be a part of this. I'm wrapping up my deanship in it, very soon, and what a wonderful thing to happen before that I walk out the door. So thank you so much for everyone.
Our last two speakers are students. We've got two generations of speakers here. The first person who will speak is Avneet Johal, and then we'll turn it over to Chelsea, the current president. I do also want to recognize Yash, who is here, because Yash has been part of this for many years and has been an incredibly tireless advocate. There are tireless advocates, and then there's Yash. So, really, well done. So, Avneet Johal. Avneet is an international student recruiter and advisor, and he also supervises UBC's student ambassador team. So he's still here at UBC because he's super UBC keen, which is what we love to see. But as an undergraduate student, he served for 5 years in the AUS Council, first as general officer, next as VP external, AMS representative, and finally as president and senator. Very busy and very important in early discussions about this space. So, without further ado, welcome.
Wow. Thank you so much for that introduction, and all of the previous speakers for all of the kind words and sentiments that have been shared. It is quite surreal to be in this space and to get a chance to hear about all of the work and the contributions and the people that have turned this space into what it is today and to bring us to this moment. I will share, still at UBC, I did try to leave once, and I did a few other things, and then I had to come back because this has become a home for me. And I think one of the reasons the university became a home for me was because of the Faculty of Arts and the home that I found within this community, within the academic community, but also because of the previous space, the Meekison Art Student Space in Buchanan D140. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about that as I share a few thoughts and remarks and memories from some of the earlier times when we were thinking about this project and getting us here today. I remember the fall of 2007, and that was when the Abdullatta Science Student Center had opened. And there had been conversations before that time as well about a space, a standalone space for the art students separate from the Meekison space. Those conversations had been happening, but once the Science Student Center was opened, those conversations began to accelerate. There were a lot more meetings, there were a lot more conversations, there was a lot more planning, there was a lot more visualization, and there were a lot of questions. How big would the space be? What would it mean for art students? And that was an exciting time, I think, for the faculty and for the students. And I'm really pleased that we have some folks from that era who are here today. Now, I don't know if when we were having those conversations, we would have thought that we would bask under the shade of this building at this time. I don't know if we were thinking quite that far ahead, But we had this idea in a sense that it would be meaningful for the Faculty of Arts and important for the student body to have a space that we could create and make our own beyond Buchanan D140. There was a lot happening for the AUS at that time, in 2007. We had been running Arts County Fair for 16 years up until that point. And my peers from that generation would be very upset if I were here today and didn't reference Arts County Fair. And so I have to do that. That was important for the AUS, and it was an important part of our identity and our contribution to the university community. For those who are not as familiar with the event, for 16 years, we hosted 15,000 community members at Thunderbird Stadium to celebrate each year the end of classes in Term 2 at UBC. The largest student-run event in Canada, and as far as we knew at the time, the largest student-run event in the world. And that was a really important part of the work of the AUS. And for a lot of different reasons, that came to an end in 2007, and then in 2008, it had transitioned to the AMS Block Party, and 2008 saw the first edition and the inaugural AMS Block Party, which continues until this day. But that was a difficult and challenging transition for the AUS. There were financial implications of that change. This was a big project for our student body. There were structural implications because so much of our volunteer base and our counselors were connected to the spirit of Arts County Fair. And I think there was a little bit of a cultural void as well, because that was such a big part of our identity and our work. So it was around that time that more conversations began to emerge about a space for art students. And I think that the idea of a new building became more of a focal point and a central theme for the executive at that time, and that continued for successive councils and successive executives up until 2012, when the executive had formally endorsed the plan, and then 2013, the referendum was passed to commit student fees to creating the space that we have today. A lot changed since those early conversations and meetings that I can remember having in 2007, 2008, 2009, to when the project was endorsed and the referendum was passed. A lot has changed since that time up until today. But I think the answers to the questions that we had are still the same. We had questions: how big would this space be? And I think that this space will always be as big as the ideas that come out of it. I think there were questions about what would this mean to the student body and the Faculty of Arts. And I think that the space will be as meaningful as the relationships and the connections that are formed in this building, in this space. I first walked into the building about a week ago, and one of the first things that I thought about as soon as I walked into the space was, wow, how can we fashion this in a way that it could reproduce and recreate what we had at the Meekison Art Student Space and Buchanan D140? Because that space was so important for me, and I can't imagine my undergraduate experience at UBC without that space. And pretty quickly, I sort of walked around a little bit, and I got a tour, and I couldn't help but think how mistaken of a thought that was. And I think it was guided and clouded by nostalgia. And the more I sort of looked around and I got to meet current members of the Arts Undergraduate Society today, I realized that I don't think that should be the goal for this space. I don't think anything can reproduce or recreate what the old space meant to past students. I think what is important is that we create something new, something transformative, something in this space that reflects and captures the spirit and culture of art students today and for years to come. And so that is my hope for this space and for the students today with the AUS and the students to come in the AUS, but also more broadly in the Faculty of Arts. I hope that this is something that can be made into a home that is appropriate for those students and fitting for those students. So the physical space is here, and we've heard from some of the architectural teams all that's gone into producing the form and the inspiration and the motivation, and I hope that AUS counselors today and tomorrow will find inspiration from the building, but also from all of the past generations and students that have worked so hard to get us to this point. I hope that inspiration will be there, but ultimately, to a mest, it is up to the current art students today to create meaning in this space. and to fulfill the promise of that inspiration and what this building has to offer. So next we have today's AUS President to share a few remarks, and I'm so pleased that we're joined by Chelsea, and Chelsea and I, our terms as president are separated by more than a decade, but the unity towards serving art students and working towards this building is something that certainly connects our terms as AUS presidents. Chelsea is in her final year of a speech sciences program, and I am so pleased that Chelsea will forever have the distinction of being the sitting AUS president to officially open and unveil the Art Student Center. So please join me in welcoming Chelsea Bian.
Quick warning, I'm getting a little emotional, so I apologize in advance, but thank you so much, Avneet, for your wonderful words. It truly is an honor to be able to meet you and learn about the old AUS history from an AUS legacy. The ASC as well as AUS wouldn't be where it is today without the passion and dedication from former student leaders and advocates. My name is Chelsea Bian, and I'm in my 5th year and final semester majoring in speech sciences, and I use she, her, hers pronouns. My journey as an art student honestly started off really lonely and confused. Considering how big our faculty was, I didn't really know how to make campus feel like home. All my friends in different faculties would be able to hang out in their building and meet people and make connections easily, but art students didn't really have that go-to hangout spot. To be an art student nowadays is such a broad term with the variety of studies that we have, but we do all have one thing in common that drives us to be the best version of ourselves: a love and appreciation for our studies and those that make up our UBC arts community. Being able to have our space to call our own makes me proud to be both an art student and the president of the AUS. Over the past few months, I witnessed all the friendships and support created under this roof that we now call our home, our house, spelled H-A-U-S. How we have made our own legacy. And I also personally want to give a big thank you and shout out to my executive team sitting over there. They have kept me sane throughout this entire process. Love you guys. The possibilities that this building opens up for art students are endless. Since we opened our doors to the public on November 8th, 2021, the ASC has been the new spot for art students to learn, socialize, and network with each other. It's been a very popular spot for art students to study among students, and I say by noon, we're probably already a full house. We have academic drop-in hours, mental health workshops, and host all our fun AUS events in this building. On the first floor, we have an arts and crafts room, so students are able to make work on group projects or art projects. There's even a lounge area on the first floor where students can chill and rest between classes. We even have our amazing student engagement officer, Paul, who has his office on the 3rd floor, who's amazing, so supportive. He's very easily accessible to students to support and answer any questions that we have. I would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge all the work that the previous AUS executives have put into creating this building throughout the years. This building was just an idea created by the executive team over a decade ago, and now here we are celebrating the creation of this idea. To be the president that has the privilege of opening this building is truly such a big honor. Today is a special day to celebrate. Today marks the beginning of a new chapter of the AUS and other legacies that will follow here, right here at the Art Student Center. Happy ASC opening day. It's been a long way to wait, but it's been so worth it in the end. Thank you all so much for coming, and to all the art students, welcome home.
Wonderful. Happy ASC opening day and welcome home. Oh, Chelsea, you're awesome. So that's the end of our speaking program this morning. I want to invite Chelsea Bian, Gage Averill, Santa Ono, and Chancellor Stephen Point forward to gather around the plaque now for the official unveiling and photo. So, cameras ready. Go ahead. Woo! I just feel so much joy here right now. Thank you, everyone. So that's the end of today's ceremony. So thank you for coming to celebrate this important occasion. Members of the AUS executive have organized and will be leading tours of this building. So if you're interested in a tour, please meet one of the leaders over here. And can I have the AUS leads raise your hands? Oh, over here. My right, left. You guys are the tour people, right? Okay, there you go. Please meet them for a tour shortly, and they'll take you through the nooks and crannies. Maybe not through all of the nooks and crannies, but the highlights. And we will have a second tour starting in about 15 minutes as well. If you would prefer to go downstairs, have some light refreshments, coffee, some nibbles on the first floor. So thank you again, everyone, for coming. It is a delight and a pleasure and a privilege and an honor to be here to open the Art Student Center. Thank you.